Hello, and welcome to the Ringers NBA Previewpalooza. My name is Chris Ryan. This is Kevin O'Connor. This is Juliet Litman. This is Justin Verrier. And this is just a small sampling of all the people who are going to be joining me on stage over the next few days to talk about the NBA. It's back, finally. Thank you. Guys, the Ringers NBA Previewpalooza is essentially 2 days of video content previewing the season. We're going to be having live binge mode, live sources say, conference power rankings, which is what we're going to start with now, division previews. We'll argue about whether or not the Warriors are still the Warriors. They are. That's a spoiler. But we really are happy to have you guys here. You could be watching Mindhunter, but you are here with us. Let's get into the Western Conference power rankings.
Love it.
How did we make these power rankings? I'll tell you. I have a proprietary algorithm that I use, which is basically reading Slack and also trolling. So I made these rankings, but they were gathered from conversations with some of our writers, the way the general conventional wisdom within the Ringer was going. And there's a couple curveballs in there. Let's start at the bottom, okay? We're going to get through these bottom-feeding teams a little bit fast. But number 15 in the Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns. Your Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, my Phoenix Suns.
They're a little bit of a personal pet project for you, right?
Yeah, I wrote about them last season, and I think they have good things happening, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate onto the court this year when they're such a young team. So, Chris, 15 is very fair for Phoenix. I think they should be tanking once again, and I think they're a good candidate to be doing that this year.
Is 15 also going to be their win total?
I'd take the over.
Take the over on that.
Take the over, yeah.
I guess a lot of this depends on Eric Bledsoe being healthy. They do have a couple of really, nice players, Bledsoe, Booker.
Devin Booker is definitely scoring 70 on opening night, just to screw you over.
What do you think about the Suns this year? Is there any chance they could be anything better than 15?
Yeah, a little bit better. I just don't know what they are at this point, and I don't think they know what they are at this point, and that's their big question. I think they want to take another year just to kind of see what these young guys are all about, maybe just play for this draft pick, because really they have a lot of guys in there. I don't know, if they know which way they're going toward. Devin Booker, good scorer, but, is he a frontline guy you want, leading your team?
Right, and then they have this, weird collection of 19-year-old, could be unicorns,
right?
Could be, in-and-out workers in some year.
And Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, and Tyson Chandler.
By
the way,
Still
if you guys
around.
have questions for us, it's hashtag NBA Palooza. So that is hashtag NBA, like the league, Palooza. Like Lollapalooza, but it's this. Okay, hashtag NBA Palooza. If you have any questions for us, let's go. Oh, wait a second. We're going to get to this question in a little bit. I'm so happy you're already sending in your questions. But let's go to this next team on the power rankings. Number 14, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh.
What?
That's controversial.
Name a third Pelican.
A little low.
Name a fourth Pelican.
No, he's not on the team anymore.
See?
Fourth
Tony
Pelican.
Allen.
Tony Allen.
Ian
Clark. Tony Allen, the biggest thing that's happening for Tony Allen is that his number is getting retired in Memphis.
Yeah.
Right. Ian Clark got a lot of garbage time for the Warriors. They have not yet figured out this magical Twin Towers offense.
Right.
They have no shooting. People are talking to me like Rondo coming back is somehow that's going to save the season. Give me a reason why the Pelicans should be higher than this.
Okay, Chris, I'm low on New Orleans because they have no spacing. Rondo is a fossil. Tony Allen is a fossil. These guys are not going to be good. But 14 just seems a little bit too low when they have two of the best big men in basketball. They're going to win games just because of the sheer talent that they have.
So you think that just between Davis and Cousins, the Pelicans can just muscle their way to the 35 wins?
Yeah, the 9 seed perhaps and miss out on the
Really?
playoffs. Yeah, maybe they sneak in a little bit if it works. I mean, we don't know. That pairing could be really a gift for them. If they start running more pick and roll with Anthony Davis and Boogie, playing a little bit of an inverted offense.
The two of them running pick and roll.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be good, but there's a chance they could be good. And 14 just seems like total worst case scenario for them.
You spent a lot of time covering the Pelicans. So tell me,
A lot of sadness.
do you think that they... You're still recovering.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they have any reason for hope here? There's just something... they have an air of lame duckness to them for some reason.
I think the reason to be encouraged is they kind of have to be going for it at this point, as opposed to a lot of teams in the NBA right now. They don't have the option to fall back, maybe tank for the future. I do feel like people are underrating the Boogie Cousins AD kind of dynamic. I think they can be good together. Because if you think about it, it's just staggering the two best offensive centers in the NBA. for, let's say, 80% of the time. But like you said, I don't think they have the right guys around them. Rondo, I think it's actually going to help that he's going to miss a month of the season because you have more shooters on the floor. It just doesn't make sense. And that's been my whole thing since they came together last trade deadline is, like, you have to have the right pieces to make this work in today's NBA.
We still remember the day that Boogie got traded after the All-Star game.
We'll never forget it.
Yeah.
That was actually, and that will never happen again because they moved the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So that will be like the final like crazy All-Star trade.
Do you think that this time next year we'll still be talking about DeMarcus Cousins, New Orleans Pelican?
I think Anthony Davis seems more likely to be in trade rumors than Boogie for the next like 6 months or whatever.
You mean if Boogie leaves as a free agent?
Yeah,
his contract is up.
I for some reason I just feel like this is a short-term rental.
Hey, Washington.
It could be.
Yeah.
Boogie and John Wall admitted they wanted a partnership together.
Make sure you hit us up, NBA Palooza on Twitter if you have questions, and we are going to get into the Dallas Mavericks at 13. Look, we put Dallas here because I feel like Dallas has like a very thin margin of error when it comes to this roster. And we've already seen Seth Curry got hurt. This is the victory lap for Dirk. I'm sure he's going to be competitive. But we're relying a lot on Dennis Smith Jr. and a Harrison Barnes step up. Like, what are we talking about here, Kevin?
Again, like 13's fair. I mean, this is a team where there's a lot of ifs. Like they need if Harrison Barnes continues to elevate his play like he did last year. He got better. I thought Barnes was pretty good. But Dennis Smith, a rookie point guard, it's very rare that a rookie point guard in history can lead their team really not just to the playoffs, but to push for the playoffs. And Dennis Smith is a guy where there's been questions about, like, you know, decision-making ability. That's going to take time for him. So to expect them to really make a push because of a rookie point guard, it's a little bit much.
How do you feel about victory laps? Are you going to do a lot of getting Misty over Dirk this year?
Oh, I thought you meant like when I retire.
On Wednesday?
Yeah. I don't know. Dirk. I feel like Dirk will not lean into it. He won't do like a full like Tim Duncan, no thanks. But I don't see like a Paul Pierce style every arena I ever played in. Farewell.
Justin Gabriel wants to know: will Dennis Smith Jr. be the Rookie of the Year? It's a pretty cool guy hipster pick.
Yeah, I think he has a really good shot. He looked really good in Summer League.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried just because I think Lonzo Ball hype is going to be thick. And then the other thing is Ben Simmons has been in the league for a year.
Yeah.
So he has that
Classic
advantage.
Sixer, like third-year Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. He's bigger and just older than everybody. He's the fourth-year senior.
I can't believe you mentioned Lonzo Ball over Kyle Kuzma. I'm definitely upset.
Get out of here with the Kuzma talk. I'm done with Kuzma talk.
Are you out?
I'm out.
Out on Kuzma.
Landry Fields 2.0.
Hashtag NBA Palooza if you have any
Really
questions for us. We're going to keep it moving. Number 12 is the Sacramento Kings, the old Kings, the new Kings. Young, fresh, Vince Carter.
Vince is such a game changer. Vince Carter and Zebo.
Yeah.
Like, those are the two vets that I would want to have on my team that's, like, kind of ragtag, starting over. Those are absolutely the two that I'd be like, yes, let's drag us up the conference.
Those guys have been brought up a lot, but my thing is, like, I'm really excited to watch Fox. I'm really excited to watch Scal and Willie again.
Buddy
like,
Hield.
Yeah, Buddy Hield. Is he Steph Curry, too? We can't say no.
No, he's not. He's not.
You can't say no.
He's not that. But they have a lot of young talent.
Yeah.
And they now have the veterans infused onto their team where they have that mix where good things are happening for Sacramento. And, like, their win total will be low this year. I think they'll probably be a little bit worse than we have them on the rankings. But that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all about the progress that the individual players make and that they make as a collective unit. I think they have good things happening.
Go
I'm
ahead.
so excited for a year of De'Aaron Fox versus Lonzo Ball, too.
Well, the problem is will Lonzo Ball be
he ever
excited?
play?
Or is he going to mysteriously have, like, ankle problems every time De'Aaron Fox is in town?
Yeah, I love De'Aaron Fox. Like you said, I love that he's really into Dragon Ball Z for some reason.
Yes.
I'm there for them. My problem with the Kings is they did this thing in the draft where they traded down and got a bunch of culture guys. I think if any other team had done that, everyone would be lampooning them.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they're just like, because they're such a cesspool,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, cool, we need just like solid dudes
The
in
bar
the team.
is so low that any competence makes them seem like geniuses.
Harry Giles won't be playing.
Yeah.
Justin Jackson is like 30.
Let's get to number 11, the Memphis Grizzlies, and we already have a question about that. Sam Thayer asks, Juliet,
Uh-oh.
Would Chandler Parsons make a good bachelor?
Of course!
He certainly won't make a good small forward. So.
Dirk, of course.
Chandler coming off the bench this year?
That's what preseason would tell you.
Yeah?
It seems like, yeah.
Does he have, like, what are the knee brace situations for him? Is it
I didn't
like
see
fully
any.
mechanical, like exoskeleton now, or?
I took the bullet for the team. I watched 2 Grizzlies preseason games last week.
Wow.
Yeah, 2.
A lot.
So I'm very familiar with them now. You know, he's working his way back from injury. Why shouldn't he come off the bench? Maybe that's a good way to do it. Let's play it positive.
Yeah, play against some backups. Here's the thing I want to know. The trade machine needs new blood. How about Marc Gasol?
I'm here for it.
How do we
I'm
get him
ready
to
for
San
it.
Antonio?
That'd be nice.
Well,
That'd be great.
what would San Antonio trade for?
There's no way.
Yeah, LaMarcus?
There's just impossible.
What if they
That's
traded
what we
Chow?
That would be incredible. Run it back.
Yeah, the Gasol brothers just constantly being traded for each other throughout their career. Let's get to the team we all want to talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yes.
I think that these guys are probably, admittedly, a little high. My proximity to Staples Center, the big baller vapors are just blowing over me.
Wait, what rank are they?
They are number 10.
Interesting.
So how wrong is that?
It's pretty wrong.
Yeah?
I mean, they have a reason to play. They don't have their pick this year. But, I mean, they're counting on a lot of young guys. Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, the God.
Yeah.
I mean, even Brandon Ingram, like, we're expecting him to take the leap. I think we all have a high opinion of him. But he's in his second year. He's still going to make mistakes.
Jason Gallagher has already started his Kyle Kuzma documentary.
Perfect. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned by a Luke Walton quote last week where he was talking about how they have so many like forwards basically, and he was like kind of referring to Nance, Kuzma, and Julius Randle and how they don't have to like move around positions. And I don't know if swapping them in and out for each other and not committing to who's playing where is good for like these young guys. Like not only for their development, but also just in terms of team management.
Right.
Like I don't know if that's really setting a good standard for the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
The tough part is like these guys all deserve to play.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, are you just going to stick some of them in the G League? I mean, that's the issue like they're going to have where like you have these vets like Brook Lopez. He's another guy that's going to help their win total this year. He can shoot threes now. He's really good.
If he's healthy.
If he's healthy, yeah. And so it's like some of these vets are going to all need to play. Even Luol Deng's going to want to play. Corey Brewer's going to want to play. So like if you're Luke Walton, how do you shuffle the minutes for all these guys? Like that's really the big question for you with them. It's like these guys all deserve to play, but will
Yeah.
they?
We're getting some really good social engagement from someone named Luther Lee McPherson IV.
Oh, great.
So
That's a great
thank
name.
you for writing in from the countryside of England. He says the Lakers are easily bottom 2 in the West with Sacramento. You really should watch Dragan play. It's like watching a deer play. Luther also says, why does anyone think the corpse of Blake Griffin and one-dimensional DeAndre Jordan can lead the Clippers to the playoffs in this Western Conference? The Pelicans have a better core than the Clippers.
Whoa.
That's
Zing.
what you have to just define core. If you think core just means 2 guys, that's fine. But core actually means the core of your basketball team that can score 100 points. So yeah, no. I don't think the Clippers are worse than the Pelicans. Thank you, Luther Lee, though,
He is
for
seriously
weighing in.
I guess he has not been hanging out on like the NBA message boards drinking the Teodosic Kool-Aid. So
It's hashtag NBA Palooza. Hashtag NBA Palooza if you want to ask us questions. And Juliet, I would be remiss. And we're going to get to a lot of this. Juliet and I are doing Sources Say later tonight.
Yes, we are.
Live
Send us
on
your
video.
questions.
But I would be remiss if I did not give you the floor to promote the Church of Rob to people. Talk a little bit about Lakers GM Rob Pelinka.
the most important Laker is Rob Pelinka.
So I share an office
it.
with Juliet, and the best moment of the summer by far was the Cantavius Caldwell Pope introductory press conference.
Yeah. It was incredible. If you haven't caught it, go to YouTube. It's there. Rob compared acquiring Cantavius Caldwell Pope to the Israelites getting bread from heaven, which is certainly a reference I think about all the time, and specifically when signing a free agent. So it was incredible. The way he tells stories is magnetic. He brings the drama back to LA. I love it so much. His partner in crime is Magic Johnson. They also refer to each other as partners all the time, which I love. Like speaking of LA power dynamics, like if Magic Johnson is like, yes, this is my partner, like, I feel like that means something. Magic Johnson's like one of the most important people in basketball, maybe the world. Like, that's crazy.
Look how excited you're getting about the Lakers.
I'm
They're
so
probably
in.
ranked too low.
He also looks just like Rob Lowe.
And he looks exactly like Rob Lowe.
Your enthusiasm is infectious. I'm about to go get a Pelinka tattoo.
Call me Randy Newman. I love LA.
Let's go from the bright lights and big city of Los Angeles to the slightly dimmer lights and slightly smaller city of Salt Lake for the Utah Jazz. Is it in Salt Lake? I never even.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes, it is.
Is there
Salt
like
City.
another major city in Utah? Don't get mad. I'm just asking.
There's Park City, where they have the Sundance Film
That's
Festival.
right.
There's some mountains.
Okay. Utah, they lost Gordon Hayward. They lost Dante Exum, sadly. Again, the shoulder injury is going to keep him out, I think, for the whole season, right?
At least a while, yeah.
Probably. They are betting big on Rodney Hood. Yet, they are going to be very stingy defensively, right?
Yeah, they're going to be great defensively. And I think they could sneak into the playoffs. I think they could be really good this year, even without Hayward. But the thing is you need Rodney Hood to stay healthy.
Okay.
And that's something he's really never done. I mean, I think Hood can fill that Hayward role as kind of like the dynamic scorer. But how much is he really going to play? And already he's had some little injuries so far this preseason, so he needs to get right.
Does Gobert have a offensive gear he hasn't hit yet?
I don't know what that would be because all he does is dunk.
Yeah.
But like he could dunk it harder and like more often.
Yeah.
So it'd be great. I'm excited to see him with Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean both of those guys can't shoot, so it's going to present some problems. But I really love new age Ricky Rubio. His hair looks gorgeous.
His hair is amazing.
He has multiple lions tattooed on his arm. He has a whole
Amazing.
freaking pride on his arm. I think it's going to be great. But those two together, I think that's a good.
Do you think that
1-2
he's
punch.
like, wait, do I not play for the Utah Lions? Like,
Lions are in Utah, right?
there's a question for KOC from Jason Gallagher, who's actually just sitting 10 feet from us.
Hi, Jason.
Question
Hey,
for KOC:
Jason.
which Western team should blow it up after this preseason? After seeing the preseason, any team that you watch, you were just like, man,
I
this
mean,
is not working
there's
out.
nobody that should blow it up right now. Right now. It's all, blow it up, it's all about the timing. The timing needs to be right, and at some point the Memphis Grizzlies need to look into the mirror
Yeah.
and say, you know what, maybe we should deal Mike Conley and Marcus Sol and just tank. Just tank.
That's going to be tough for the
Build
grit and
the
grind.
youth.
I know. I'm here for skinny Marcus All though. He looks great.
Oh, yeah,
he
but
does
like
look
all
good.
these guys,
He does.
man, somebody gain some weight. Come on, what are you guys doing? Everybody's going vegan. Let's just recap quickly where we are right now. Number 15, the Phoenix Suns. Number 14, the New Orleans Pelicans. Number 13, the Dallas Mavericks. 12, Sacramento Kings. 11, Memphis Grizzlies. 10, your Los Angeles Lakers. 9, our Utah Jazz. And now let's get into the playoff teams, okay? It's a
Nice.
little bit, it's pretty much the playoff teams that we had last season, more or less, for the most part. But the order is different, and there's a lot of new faces. So let's start at the bottom of the playoff race, and that's the Portland Trailblazers. And I think that this is a pretty crucial season for them.
Definitely.
They've really bet big on the Dame CJ axis. They've got Nurkic healthy.
Nurkic is like the only reason Portland's interesting. Otherwise they would just be running it back, and like I think we've just seen that Dame and CJ like are great, but like just not enough to really compete. But Nurkic, if he hadn't gotten hurt in that series, could have been a little different. And like he's also a lot sassier than they are, which
Yes.
I'm really
Yes.
into. And I think that could push them over, make them a more interesting team.
Nurkic recently said that he wants the Blazers to be the new bad boys defensively. What do you think about that?
I mean, maybe. I don't know what that means. Are you just going to hit people? Like, that would be fun. I mean, he is kind of the variance there, like you were saying. Like, this is basically the same team. I do wonder if they just end up as, like, the 8th or the 7th seed, if we're going to get a lot of, like, early aughts Hawks vibes from this team. Like, all right, how many of these first-round outs are you going to get with this team?
Right.
And then you look to trade a CJ or Dame.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's the question about we had a little bit of a sneak preview of what it looks like when CJ runs the point when Dame got hurt last season, and a lot of people were like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think like you could stagger those guys like even more so,
Yeah.
just to give McCollum more opportunities to do that. I mean, that's how you can maximize both units. And then with Nurkic, I mean, he is playing inspired basketball. I mean, he is I think the key to them taking that leap if he stays healthy and if he continues playing like that.
I just sort of nagged Lillard, and now Tom Fisher III asks, will Lillard finally get some love and make the All-Star team this year? Have you listened to his new album? I have not listened to his new album. No. He will make the All-Star team, but get picked last.
Absolutely. Also, I'm concerned about the Blazers because if we're staggering Dame and CJ, when does Evan Turner get his time?
I know.
When will he be running the point? When will he be running the offense?
He did a little bit more in preseason, which is probably a good thing. Get Lillard and McCollum running off ball.
You should check out Jason Concepcion's Hipster Championship Belt article on TheRinger.com, which brings us to the Denver Nuggets, who are, by all accounts, a very big hipster team this year. The passing of Jokic, the revival of Moutier. No? Am I getting it? Moutier stockholders?
Nope.
Moutier
Not
stock?
really.
No?
It's crazy that Paul Millsap's on that team.
Paul Millsap, you've got Gary Harris, which everybody's kind of come
Big
back around
contract.
and got paid. Give me a reason to be skeptical about the Nuggets.
they still don't have really that point guard.
Okay.
I mean, Moutier, you were expecting a lot from him. Jameer Nelson's your other guy where he's just kind of an old average veteran. If they don't get point guard play, I think they could have issues. However, the thing is they have two of the best passing big men in Jokic and Millsap, where maybe you just run the offense through them and you say, forget the traditional point guard. Play a little bit of an inverted offense could work out for them.
They have like just the built-in. They play fast at high altitude. I mean, there is like, I don't even know why I'm saying that, like as if like that's going to mean the difference in anything. But I do think that they have like a lot of interesting pieces. Do you think there's like a trade in there? I feel like that team has often tried to put itself. They were like interested in Wade. They would like to get a bigger name in there.
Yeah, I mean, you saw them talk about Kevin Love right before all that stuff happened with the Cavs. But I mean, they do have the pieces. I really like Gary Harris, but then you're trying to build a team that's top heavy. I don't know if Jokic and Millsap will be the type of guys you want to do that around that. And I like Jamal Murray. I think he's going to be a good fit for this team. I think he's kind of the key to this team. If he just progresses like we expect him to, maybe takes a bit of a leap this season. I've always liked him more than Buddy Hield, which is why New Orleans hates me so much.
Jamal Murray also likes himself more than Buddy Hield. Like that's the sort of Lonzo, De'Aaron Fox for losers battle. You know, it's like fine, but it's like it means watching Sacramento and Denver or like before New Orleans. Okay, we have a good question here. By the way, you can hit us up with questions at hashtag NBA Palooza. And Expert Frowner wants to know, I don't think these teams will be particularly good. That's him. But out of Phoenix, Denver, and Portland, which will be the most fun League Pass team?
I think Denver.
Denver too, yeah. I think Jokic passing is worth like any night you want to watch basketball.
I think Portland has so many. I think Denver has so many young guys. Even like a guy like Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
I mean, look down their roster. They have some fun players that are going to be getting minutes.
Yeah. Let's move on. After Denver at 7, it's probably one of the most interesting teams in the league, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Damn. The new Wolves.
Yeah.
I think 6, 7.
No, this is at 6.
6.
Yeah, and this is probably where they need to get if they want to consider their season a success, right?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas has their over-under set at 48.5, which seems outrageous to me, personally. I think they're going to be really, really good. I think the question is how does Wiggins ease into like that third star role?
Right.
Does Towns take the same leap he has each of the last 2 seasons? I mean, if you look at his numbers, the last 40 games of his rookie year were his numbers the first 40 games of his second year.
Yeah.
And then he averaged like 28 and 14 or something like that over the second half of last season. Does that translate over? Because if it does, you have arguably the best big man in basketball.
Right. With
Jimmy Butler and with an improving Andrew Wiggins.
And
that
if
could
he
be good.
doesn't take that leap, does Tibbs make him practice outside in Minneapolis in January and do push-ups on his knuckles
Absolutely.
underneath the Skyway? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting in the GM survey that Towns was like the unanimous choice for who GMs would want to build their team around. And I feel like he last year didn't really get that kind of attention or like buzz. Like he wasn't spoken about that way.
Yeah.
But like within the league, he's so universally beloved and admired.
Jerry Monza on Twitter says, do you think the Wolves can really improve by 17 wins and get over 48 with their lineup and thin bench? And that's the big question, right? Like, teams that are looking to make these 10, 15, 20 game jumps in what they were the year before, those are historically very rare jumps.
Yeah, I mean, if a team is going to do it, it's going to be like the Wolves. Like you said, Towns is like the next big thing. And
right.
Obviously, his defense wasn't there last year, but if he's not in the MVP like discussion this year or even next year, like that's kind of a failure on his part because he's that good. I would pick him over pretty much anybody.
The thing to watch for the Wolves, I think we've talked about this before, is end of game.
Yeah.
They were awful at the end of games. Second half generally, but specifically at the end of games, they lost I can't remember what the stat was, but it was some absurd record when tied or like winning it towards the end of the game. They've got to get their fourth quarter together. Butler's a pretty good closer. I mean,
that's why you have Jimmy Butler.
Butler definitely thinks he's a closer, so it helps to have that. Let's keep it moving. After 6, did you have any more notes on Minnesota you want to drop?
I think Butler's going to help solve that issue.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on, number 6 to number 5. Wait, I want to do no-look Teodosic pass. It's the Clippers.
Was that to me?
No. Yeah, that's going to be the
pre-show.
We have been seduced by a summer of Milos Teodosic.
Love it.
The Serbian point guard.
Here.
Just throwing no-look shuttle passes, full court, and then going straight to in and out, where he has 14 burgers a day. I do not know if his cholesterol level will keep him healthy this year, but I'm really going to enjoy having another dazzling passer in Los Angeles.
The good news is a lot of health food here in LA and a lot of people peddling a healthy lifestyle, so we can get them on track quickly.
Yeah.
Not worried about it.
Get him down to turkey burgers, maybe?
Yeah.
So Paulus asks, is Teodosic already a top 5 point guard, or does he need a season to get his feet wet? I mean, like, I don't think he's like 40, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think he's 30.
He's
right?
30,
He's
but
30.
that's like at 40 in NBA years.
Yeah, totally.
And let me tell you about it. And I also think that like he's going to be very entertaining, but I don't know if he has the athleticism to be considered an upper echelon point guard. Am I wrong?
Also can't play
You're not
defense.
And he can't play defense.
Does anyone
not
play
wrong.
defense on the Clippers?
Right.
DJ, above
Pat
average.
Bev,
Yes.
man.
That's true. Pat Bev. Sorry, I forgot.
Pat Bev.
That was so rude. I'm
Pat
so
Bev.
sorry, Pat Bev.
Diving in people's meniscus? Come
That's
on.
true.
Blake
That's
has
true.
some versatility. I mean,
But will they choose to play defense, I guess, is the better
I think
question.
their defense is going to be problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're going to be good, though.
Yeah.
I think I like the 5 seed for them. I'm pushing the over for the Clippers. Like, really the only concern with them is injuries. Beverly's had injuries. Blake's had injuries. Gallinari's had injuries in their career. Like, all their key guys except for DJ. So I think that's the problem. But
Yeah.
if those guys do stay relatively healthy, they're going to be really good offensively. They're moving the ball around in the preseason. It's not just Milos.
Yeah.
Like, all those guys, Blake and Gallinari, they can move the ball, they can handle the ball, and they can run some pick and roll. I like them. I think they're going to be good.
Here's a big question. So hashtag NBA Palooza if you have questions for us. Here's the question I have about the Clippers. Is this also a lame duck team? Because we've seen Doc have some of his power base chipped away. Jerry West is involved. Do they have a GM now?
Lawrence Frank.
Yeah. Well, he's more of a Doc guy, but you have to
president,
imagine that the sort of sand is shifting over there, where like maybe it's not Doc's team from top to bottom anymore.
Are you worried about Austin? Is that what you're saying?
I think I just worry about whether or not, like, internally, if there's, like, a belief that this coach is not going to be here for a long time,
Sure.
that guys start to tune him out and start to think about individual success or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, like, I'll be fascinated to see. It's been a really long time since Doc has not basically been relying on 3 players to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a stopgap roster, too. You get Gallo, I think he might be really good there. Beverly, some of these other guys that they never had to fill out the roster when Chris Paul was there, oddly enough. But, I mean, I don't know if going forward they have, a young team you could really build around. It's like hoping Blake is healthy, hoping DJ wants to stick around and is engaged, and a lot of kind of just riffraff to kind of fill it out.
Kevin, before we go, Audio Proyster on Twitter wants to know, are we going to see Point Blake as much as we want to?
Oh, we better. We have to see Point Blake. That's what's going to unleash him to the next level. He's one of the best passing, playmaking big men we have in today's game and maybe ever.
He's shooting threes now, too.
Yeah,
Like a
looks
real,
good.
like a real point guard.
He is really
Dale
just
Ellis
shooting those
Blake.
corner threes.
Dale Ellis
Chuck
Blake.
Person Blake. Probably Chuck Person jokes aren't cool right now. At Tabor Brown, way too high on the Clippers. They are going to be guy dropping something in
Trash.
the trash can emoji. I like to be like really elaborate in my descriptions of emojis.
If it's not too late, maybe we can program in some you acting out emojis.
That's great.
One's related to
That'll be
basketball.
after sources say at like 11 o'clock. I'll just be doing my favorite memes and emojis. Number 4 in the Western Conference. I think this is maybe a little low. Oklahoma City Thunder.
Ooh, interesting.
Perfectly fine.
This
Yeah,
has been,
it's about right.
This has probably been the thing you and I have disagreed about the most is Melo specifically, and then the Thunder's chances generally, right? So I just think that the Paul George arrival, a lot of people have said this is the closest thing that Russ has had to KD since KD exited, since his July vacation. And then bringing in Melo is like only additive. I mean, I understand that he's not like the greatest defender anymore, but I think that if you have those 3 guys on the court, that's a really tough lineup to defend against. Most of those guys are used to getting at least a little bit of double team, if not more, I don't know. I just think that this will be a very exciting team to watch.
They're definitely better. I mean, we're talking about them as a home court advantage team in the first round, which is better than they were last year where they could barely hang with the Rockets. I mean, my biggest issue is there enough of a ball to go around?
Right.
I mean, Melo, classic ball hog. Russ, classic ball hog. Even Paul George, I mean, he's going to be the guy that's going to have to be the Chris Bosh of this team.
Yeah.
And kind of take a step back, maybe play more of a defensive role. And I think it's looking at the Heat in their first year is educational. Like, they didn't figure everything out. And you even had LeBron and D Wade, who were friends, and you had LeBron, who's the most efficient, kind of best player in the world. Like, it had a natural order to it. Whereas, like, is everyone going to want to take a backseat to Russ, just like flying in there and just kind of just throwing it up? I don't know.
It's hard to remember pre-last year Russ
Yeah.
because he had to play so much hero ball. I mean, maybe he wanted to play that much hero ball, but it's hard to remember he wasn't like a terrible point guard before that. I think that people were frustrated that in certain crucial situations he maybe looked for his shot rather than Durant's shot.
Yeah, there's some really tough Russ pulling up for three, like from the year
Right.
2015, that you're just like, oh right, that's why KD left.
We have a couple of questions from Twitter about the Thunder. I'll throw your way. Brent Raven asks, will Steven Adams make a leap? Last year was somewhat stalled. His progression somewhat stalled due to the spacing. Will better spacing bring back the Adams that looked like he was about to become one of the best big men in the league?
I don't even know if Steven Adams will get enough touches
Yeah.
to really make that leap. I mean, that's really, like Justin said about the one ball, Westbrook, George, and Anthony. I don't know if Adams is going to get the opportunity to make that leap, but he's going to get easy buckets, cuts, dives in the pick and roll, but I'm not sure the opportunity is going to be there for him to take any type of leap. I think it's up to Russ, though. I mean, to really distribute that ball and take on a playmaking role to help guys like Adams, to help George and Melo as well, to really get easy shots. It's up to Westbrook more than anybody else.
Well, it'll obviously be fascinating to watch the Thunder at the beginning of the season when they're sort of trying to figure it out. I think that this is the team that will probably go like 5-5, and everybody will be like, "Oh, this is working." I think the really crucial part of the Thunder season will happen when one of those big three guys has an ankle injury for like 2 weeks, and they play without one of them. And it's almost going to be fascinating to see, what's it look like when it's just two of them? Because I think three is a lot, and there's a lot of ego and need and where do you put these guys? But once you have just two, I think it will be kind of fascinating. This has happened on a couple of other teams. The Clippers often would go through these interesting, what's it like when Blake's not on the floor and they have better spacing, or So I just think it'll be kind of cool kind of interesting when the Thunder have to face that. Gabriel asks, who will replace Steven Adams and Enes Kanter, a.k.a. Mustache Bros, as the coolest off-court duo?
Damn.
So we could take this league-wide.
League-wide, coolest off-court duo, have to be on the same team. That's really hard. I'm hoping it's Joel Embiid and Dario Saric. I think there's some potential there.
Yes. Yes.
That's a tough one. There's not a lot of friends within teams.
What about Kanter and Porzingis? Just bring it up to New York.
Based
I
on
like that chemistry.
Based on what I've seen for Porzingis, I don't know if he's a best friend kind of guy.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's not the vibe that I get.
Maybe
He's like, I hang out with my brothers, I lift.
I DM people on Instagram. I think if you're a prodigy, you are not a best friend guy, and he is basically a prodigy.
Maybe if Porzingis
we
grows
also whiplash guys.
If he grows a stash, he might have more success with his IG model DM sliding.
Maybe. Who knows?
Or less.
So a couple more things from Twitter. Stephen Leah says, Melo is definitely going to be the Chris Bosh. He's easily the third best, especially at his age. Westbrook's field goal percentage will go up. We also have another question of, just a quick poll, who will lead OKC in scoring this year?
Westbrook.
I think George.
Westbrook.
Melo!
Whoa.
Okay, let's keep it moving. To number 3, they have this spot probably every year. I don't even know what to say. The San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi's going to miss at least the first game. Sounds like he's still getting healthy. Pretty much missed the entire preseason, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say I don't think they're going to get 3. I think they will underperform this year. I think
how many people have been saying that for 10 years?
I know it's like blasphemous to say that. I get it, but I just think that the conference is really good. There's no nights off.
And no one is more prepared on a night-to-night basis than this team.
I guess so, but I don't know. I just don't think that they have I know this system is amazing and that's what keeps them relevant, but there are more superstars in the West than ever. You know what I mean? And there's no. The Wolves are better. Every team that was really bad is just they'll have to fight harder against. And I just think that after 82 games, you drop some of those.
So let's put it this way then. Jerry Monson on Twitter says, do you guys really believe that if Kawhi wasn't injured last year that they had a chance of beating the Warriors in that series? I don't care if Kawhi got hurt. No one's stopping the Warriors, especially that Spurs team. But there are some people who disagree. I mean, Zach Lowe was talking on his podcast just the other day about, look, they took it to the Warriors with the exception of, the games where everybody was resting. For the most part, they played the Warriors pretty straight up. With this roster that we're seeing, now Tony Parker's hurt, Manu's old, LaMarcus was definitely fading down the stretch. But do they have a chance against the Warriors in a 7-game series?
No.
I'm just trying to generate some excitement.
It's just everyone's a year older, and I know we keep saying that, but now they're actually having to rely on some of these young guys. Like DeJounte Murray can't just be like a young, intriguing guy. He has to play and maybe even start at some points. Kyle Anderson probably going to be a max player eventually. Let's be honest, but like he actually has to contribute and be a key guy, especially when Leonard's out to start with.
Yeah, I mean, the Kyle Anderson, DeJounte Murray is going to be a really big question. Can he start to, I mean, this is early in his career for him to have to like take over the reins of point guard for the San Antonio Spurs, but you know, he's going to have to do it sooner than later.
I mean, if we're being real though, it's all about Kawhi.
Yeah.
I mean, Kawhi has gotten better every single season of his career, and if this is the year where he kind of plateaus, whether it's because of injury or he just does plateau, that's not going to be good for them because they do have those other weak spots in their roster that they may not have had in the past. But Kawhi can get better. I mean, he's still 26 years old. He's got more space to improve.
Hashtag NBA Palooza if you guys have questions or comments. Bob Schoonover wants to know, why isn't Shea breaking through the set to fight you about this ranking? We have really, really well-trained guards standing at the door. Let's keep it moving. Let's get to what is the sort of, I think, consensus most interesting team in the NBA, Houston Rockets, which pains me to say because I am not a fan.
Really?
I'm not a fan of the Houston Rockets.
I hate math.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's not that. I just think that it's just a thing. I don't know. Everybody has their tendencies. Their tastes.
Sure. That's how I feel about the Clippers.
Does Chris Paul make this make them contenders for the Western Conference? Can they challenge the Golden State Warriors? This is what Daryl Morey wanted. He wanted to raise the risk profile. He wanted to bring in another superstar to play with Harden.
I think they can mount a challenge. I don't think they'll beat them, but I definitely think that it makes them a lot more dynamic and harder. But it also just seems like they will be figured out. Like I think they will start off really hot at the beginning of the season, and then teams will figure out how to play against them. And when we were talking about the Spurs, like the Spurs are one of the reasons they're so good because, like you said, they're ready every night. And so like, in a 7-game series, they're hard to beat because of the adjustments and because of the coaching. But I feel like the Rockets are the opposite of that. I don't know if when you see them 7 times, it's like necessarily so difficult. And of course, they have so much offense.
Yeah.
But I think I think that people will figure them out.
And the Spurs kind of showed the formula in the playoffs against Houston. I mean, granted, Harden was really worn down at that point, but like they were not at all even defending the mid-range. I mean, they were literally just defending the rim and the three-point line because they knew Houston wasn't going to pull up anywhere from the mid-range.
Well, it'll be fascinating to see if that becomes more of a league-wide defensive tactic as people become more and more drunk on threes. Are we going to start to see a shift in the way people defend? We have a question from Twitter. Jordan Rose asks, whose stats take a bigger hit across the board in the new Houston backcourt, CP3 or James?
I would guess it's Chris Paul, just because he's going to be more in the distributing role. I mean, it's weird that people don't think they're going to work. Like, I know, obviously, there are concerns about who's going to have the ball in their hands at the end of the game, so all this stuff. I just feel like James Harden is kind of, like, gotten lumped into this guilty by association sort of thing, where we thought he was a ball hog last year, but, like, let's be honest, the team wasn't going to be any good unless he did what he did.
Yeah.
And, like, 2 years ago, he was ready to move aside for Ty Lawson. And then we say, like, oh, he wanted his own team. He wanted to get out of OKC. Well, I think he would have been a better pairing with Kevin Durant, and maybe those two guys would have been still together. That was kind of the story, right, leading up to that trade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he could be anything. I think he's more versatile than Russ. He's just not, but we always think about them together as, like, this sort of pairing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when do we decide that players are done changing, done evolving? You know, and that's a good question for Melo. I mean, a lot of people, I think, in their minds are imagining Melo on Oklahoma being more like Team USA FIBA Melo than being the Melo who stands in the post and dribbles for 12 seconds, right?
Maybe.
He's hoodie Melo now. He's really leaning into it. It's pretty incredible.
Is Luke Mbamute one of the biggest X factors in the West that nobody is talking about? That comes from Scott Doesn't Know It.
Love it.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah.
He's like shooting like 60% or something from 3 in the preseason. It's like he's really good, and like that. Those are the moves that I like. That's why I'm high on the Houston Rockets because they made all these bench moves. PJ Tucker's
a big
These
one.
guys, Clint Capella can make a leap this year. I think they're like really good team.
They do have a really deep team. This is annoying.
They have the ability to take on different styles. I mean, you can put like PJ Tucker at the 5.
Is D'Antoni ever? But is D'Antoni the guy who's going to be like, tonight we play like this?
Yeah.
Really?
I think. Look, like offensively, they're going to run what they run, like a heavy pick and roll. But defensively, like you can put out different lineups. Whether it's Anderson at the 5, play a little smaller, or you can have Capella in there too. I mean, they have the ability to take on different styles, and maybe they won't beat Golden State, but they have the weapons defensively, PJ Tucker, Luke, to really play versatile defense and switch while also having spacing on the offensive end of the floor.
We've spent all this time talking about Western Conference teams. Just to recap our playoff rankings, we got Portland at 8, Denver at 7, Minnesota at 6, the Clippers at 5, the Thunder at 4, the Spurs at 3, the Rockets at 2. Does anything we have said in the last 40 minutes matter when you have the Warriors?
I think yes.
You do think yes?
Yeah. First of all, there's injuries.
Yeah.
Always that. And you just don't know. Like, coming off this offseason, like, it's just so hard to bank on anything. And I don't know. Like, also, I just feel like something weird's going to happen. I just have a feeling.
Well, I mean, weird things have happened in this world over the last couple of years. I mean, the probability is kind of out the window. Yeah. But I do feel like it's sort of impossible to find the way that the Warriors are not the champions at the end of the year, to say nothing of Western Conference champions. It would have to be a pretty cataclysmic collection of injuries.
Right, and it's not even just that the Warriors are better. They're more comfortable with Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is better than ever.
Yeah.
Like, right. I have him as my MVP this year just because I think he's, after what he did last postseason, just playing more at the 5, being more versatile, being that guy, I think he could be the best player in the league next year. And so, like, how do you stop that when, like, you have 3 possible MVP candidates on our team?
Any drain of going to 4 straight finals? Any, like, that we've been playing basketball nonstop pretty much? No.
I don't think so. I think because they have so many weapons, like, even if you take away one of those guys, you take away Durant, Warriors are probably still number 1 on our list. Take away Curry, they're probably still number 1.
We have
they're that good.
There's 2 questions, pretty much the same one. Brent Raven and Davidson Oscar Bjorn Fong asks, basically, which team poses the best matchup problem for the Warriors?
I think probably Rockets.
And besides the Rockets, maybe Oklahoma City if they really start clicking, because they have those end-of-game ISO scorers that can really, I think if they stay with you defensively with Robertson and Adams and, like, they keep it close, they can really compete at the end of games.
I think that's a good point, because everyone's like, well, Oklahoma City's bad because Robertson can't shoot and Adams is Adams or whatever. But, like, they're not supposed to be your top options. Like,
sure.
So, like, as role players, they are very
That's
good.
It. I mean, Robertson comes up a lot. I'm like, is Robertson going to take more than 4 shots a game?
And if he fills like a Clay type role on defense, which I think it will not be as good, but could be like somewhat comparable, then he is really useful.
Yeah.
And like has a purpose.
We talk about, like, the bad boys. I think that has the capability to be that, because you have all these kind of snarly guys who can muck up the game. Robertson, you have Adams, Russ. These guys are going to get in it.
Patrick Patterson.
All these guys,
he's good.
I think that's the kind of team you need to counter the Warriors.
I'm going to support the Spurs, man. I mean, I know that they're not athletically on the same level as the Warriors, but I really do think that they can tactically give them a run for their money if they're healthy.
Sure.
Let's go through, just want to recap the rankings for you guys. We really appreciate you joining us at NBA Previewpalooza. Number 15, the Phoenix Suns. Number 14, the New Orleans Pelicans, although I was told I was wrong for that. Dallas Mavericks at 13, the Kings at 12. 11, the Grizz. 10, the Lakers. People think that might be a little high. The Jazz at 9, just missing out on the playoffs. Portland Trailblazers 8, Nuggets 7, Minnesota Timberwolves 6, the Clippers at 5, the Thunder at 4, the Spurs at 3, the Rockets at 2, the Warriors at 1. There are a couple of just general questions. I just wanted to get to one of these. Colin O'Connor, too, wants to know, who's a dark horse playoff team in the West?
I mean, New Orleans. Like,
Wow.
we have them that low, but, like, if this thing actually works out,
Right.
they could be pretty good.
If they became just a dominant, you cannot stop those 2 guys' force.
Right.
Okay. And T3H Records wants to know, what player, and let's keep this to the Western Conference, what player is most likely to make me stop whatever I'm doing and turn on League Pass?
I think Kawhi. I was just thinking when he just takes over games, it's so exciting partially because of the talent around him, which is just not as good.
I think for me, this year is probably going to be James Harden, just because I'm so excited to see him next to Chris Paul. Because, like, in Oklahoma City, we saw him, like, more slashing, more spot-up shooting and attacking, like, as kind of the third option sometimes. And now Paul's going to be creating for him, one of the best playmakers ever. I'm really excited to see that.
I really want to see how the Thunder pans out.
Yeah.
Like, that chemistry experience is really interesting. You definitely want to get there in the last 2 minutes when they kick it out to Roberson and he just misses a wide open 3.
I think that this is a pretty easy answer, but it's going to be Lonzo. I mean, there are people, because it's going to be Lonzo on good nights and it's going to be Lonzo on hey, Chris Paul's trying to end Lonzo's career tonight.
Right.
And I just think that that's going to be
true.
really good. So,
I
okay.
think another one that's kind of like just not really talked about is Steph. Like I feel like there hasn't been a truly like transcendent Steph shooting performance in a while, and I hope that happens sometime soon. Like I sort of miss that excitement.
We're going to have a bunch of video content for you guys over the next day and tomorrow too. But for today, we'll just keep pumping it out. We're going to go with a series of videos that we've shot called NBA Court TV, which will be coming up next, where we basically, in a courtroom style setting, argue about the biggest storylines, the biggest debates in the NBA right now. We have tons of content coming up for you guys. Thank you so much to Kevin O'Connor, to Justin Verrier, and Juliet Litman. I'm Chris Ryan. I'll be back later. These guys will all be back later. Everybody you love from The Ringer will be here. We'll be here with you for the next 2 days talking NBA. We can't wait. Thank you so much for watching.